The wind howled like a hungry wolf. Rain lashed against the windows. Inside his small cottage, an old poet sat by the fire. The flames danced, casting a warm glow on his wrinkled face. He sipped his tea and listened to the storm. It was a night for stories. The poet thought of all the tales he knew. He loved stories of brave knights and magical creatures. He longed to write a new tale, one filled with adventure and wonder. But the storm made him sleepy. He almost wished for a visitor, someone to share a story with. Suddenly there was a knock at the door. The poet was surprised. Who would be out on such a night? He put down his tea and went to see. When he opened the door, the wind nearly blew him off his feet. Standing on his doorstep was a small boy. The boy was drenched in rain. He looked very young and scared. He shivered in the cold. "Please, sir," the boy said with a trembling voice, "may I come in? I'm lost and cold." The poet didn't hesitate. "Of course, child," he said kindly. "Come in and get warm." The poet led the boy inside. He helped him out of his wet clothes and wrapped him in a warm blanket. The boy sat by the fire, his eyes wide with gratitude. He looked like a small, wet bird, finally safe from the storm. "Thank you, kind sir," the boy said. "You are very kind to take me in." "Nonsense, child," said the poet. "No one should be out on a night like this. What is your name, little one?" The boy smiled, a mischievous glint in his eye. "My name is Cupid," he said. The poet gave Cupid some warm soup and hot tea. As Cupid ate, he told the poet about how he had gotten lost. He spoke of magical lands and faraway places. The poet listened, captivated by the boy's stories. They seemed almost real, full of wonder and magic. Cupid began to yawn, his eyelids growing heavy. "I'm so tired," he murmured. The poet smiled gently. "Rest, little one," he said. "You are safe here." Cupid curled up by the fire and fell fast asleep. The poet watched him, a strange feeling stirring in his heart. Section 5. The Sting of Love. As Cupid slept, a golden glow surrounded him. The poet leaned closer, mesmerized. He had never seen anything like it. Suddenly he noticed something lying next to Cupid. It was a small bow and a quiver full of arrows. They shimmered with an otherworldly light. The poet gasped. Could this boy be who he thought he was? Was this Cupid, the mischievous god of love? He had heard stories, whispers of a winged child who could make people fall in love with a single arrow. Section 6. A Heart Aflame. Before the poet could dwell on this thought, Cupid stirred in his sleep. He stretched, his eyes fluttering open. As he did, one of the arrows from his quiver rolled off and fell to the floor with a soft clink. The poet bent down to pick it up, but it was too late. Cupid, with a mischievous twinkle in his eye, aimed the bow and let an arrow fly. It whizzed past the poet's ear, so fast he barely saw it, but he felt it. He felt it like a spark, a sudden warmth spreading through his chest. He looked at Cupid, his heart pounding in his chest. Section 7. Cupid's laughter. Cupid burst into a fit of giggles, the sound like wind chimes. "You should see your face," he cried, clutching his stomach as he laughed. "Love is quite a funny thing, isn't it?" The poet, his heart filled with a confusing mix of emotions, could only stare at the child. He had never felt so alive, so confused, so in love. "Why?" the poet managed to stammer, his voice hoarse. "Why would you do such a thing?" Cupid simply shrugged, his laughter subsiding. "I couldn't resist," he said, his voice regaining its innocent lilt. "You were a perfect target." Section 8. A Poet's Warning. Cupid then vanished into thin air, leaving the poet standing alone with his racing heart and a newfound ache in his soul. The storm had stopped. The sun peeked through the clouds, but the poet felt no warmth from it. He touched his chest, feeling the strange flutter within. He understood now. He had been struck by Cupid's arrow. He was old, a time for peace and quiet, not for the tumult of love. He sighed, a deep, trembling breath. He knew then what he had to do. He had to warn others. He had to tell them about the mischievous Cupid, who looked so innocent yet carried such powerful weapons. Section 9. A Lesson Learned. He picked up his quill and began to write. He wrote about his encounter with Cupid, about the deceptive innocence of the child god and the powerful, unpredictable nature of love. He wrote to warn the young and the old to be wary of appearances and to guard their hearts carefully. For he had learned a valuable lesson that stormy night. Even the smallest, most charming creatures can hold the most potent magic. And sometimes, even a poet's heart can be touched by the mischievous arrow of love.